Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our first ever Home Internet and Device Safety Night. Thank you to our audience members for being here. Thank you to those of you who are watching at home through our live streaming or possibly our video recording. My name is Dr. Emily Bell. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Fulton County Schools. I am responsible for the safe, supported, and effective access to our network, our robust menu of applications in our district, and we also handle a number of projects and data analysis. But it's also my very important responsibility to help keep students safe in our increasingly digital world. Fulton County Schools works with local and national safety experts to safeguard our network, to restrict access from inappropriate websites and content using a variety of special protections. But tonight's event is an example of our outreach efforts to educate parents on home internet and device safety. You know, very soon our students, a majority of our students will be home for the summer. Fulton County Schools is collecting our student-issued devices May 16th so that we can conduct cleaning, physical cleaning and device cleaning on those devices. So our students will be home possibly using personal devices and of course their own home internet. So we would like to make sure that there are safety precautions taken at home. So we want to facilitate best practice advice from the experts to help you keep your students safe on home internet and devices. So before I get started, I would certainly like to thank Innovation Academy for allowing us to host here tonight. Any of our board members who've been incredibly supportive of this initiative, our community partners. But I also want to thank Dr. Looney. He's not here tonight, but he is definitely here in spirit. This topic is near and dear to his heart. This was actually his idea. He started this kind of initiative when he was in a former district in Tennessee and had a lot of success in helping parents understand how to keep their children safe when using their home internet and personal devices. So tonight's session is just one part of our commitment to home internet safety. We also have an informative flyer, which you might have seen on the table outside. In fact, you saw a number of materials on the table outside. Audience members, I encourage you to pick up all of that material, including our cute little device camera covers that is for your students or for your safety. And, you know, we also we have a website with this information on our Fulton County Schools website. We also plan to do informative video sessions. So not only are we videoing tonight and our panel of experts who are joining us, but we're also going to have future releases of videos. Now, finally, before I introduce our panelists, let me, point out emergency exits and, where the restrooms are and all those housekeeping kinds of things, and tell you a little bit about the format for tonight. So our panelists will share information, and then at the very end, we're going to transition to questions and answers where you can directly ask questions. We have comment cards for those who might be a little shy, and Susan, can you point to where those cards might be? And we also have microphones, and because, we want to make this a very helpful session, we'll just work with you to make sure we get your questions answered tonight. So as I mentioned before, tonight's meeting is being streamed on the Fulton County Schools website, and it's being recorded. Everyone here on the stage is being recorded, but my audience is not. So you don't have to worry about being on camera. So please feel free in sharing your thoughts as we go through tonight. We're going to post the recording and the presentations on the Home, Internet, and Device Safety website for those who could not be here. If you have questions beyond tonight, I want to encourage you to just reach out to me. This is our first ever event, and as Chief Information Officer, I am deeply concerned about keeping our students safe on our network and at home. So I'd like to know a little bit about what the problems are out there. And my email address is on our website, and it is emily@fultonschools.org. And again, I want to make sure you pick up the information that is on the table outside. So now, without further ado, allow me to introduce our panelists. I'll just go through and introduce them, and then I'll call them up one at a time to come and speak to you. I'm just super excited for the level of expertise that we have here tonight. I am confident that we can answer your questions here tonight, and if we can't, we can definitely get back to you. Let's start with Special Agent Jackie Gittens. She is from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. She is currently assigned to the Child Exploitation and Computer Crimes Unit and Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. In this role, she conducts proactive and reactive investigations involving child exploitation via the internet and commercial sexual exploitation of children. She travels to share in information settings like this so that parents are knowledgeable, and you're really going to enjoy her helpful tips and advice to keep safe at home. Next is Rich Johnson. He is with AT&T. He is the Assistant Vice President of Legislative and Regulatory for AT&T of Georgia. In this role, he manages external affairs, engagements with policymakers and regulators throughout Georgia. Prior to joining AT&T, Mr. Johnson served as the Senior Director of Government and Public Affairs for the Technology Association of Georgia, TAG. It's a really great organization of talented technologists in the state. There, he was responsible for working with key stakeholders to enhance the economic health of Georgia's technology community. Now, our next panelist is not on the stage. I want to introduce Jasmine Hood Miller. She is from Common Sense Media. She is the Director of Community Content, and her content will be delivered via video tonight. And finally, last but not least at all, is Martha Bongiorno. She is here at Innovation Academy as our Media and Education Technology Instructor, or METI. She is highly skilled in using technical and digital resources when providing instruction to students. And she is a former humanities teacher who has taught in rural and urban schools, all grade levels, and with high needs population. She is also, and this is very impressive, she's also the president of the Georgia Library Media Association and is an ISTE ambassador and certified educator. She is the 2019 American Association of School Librarians Award finalist for advocacy. And tonight she'll share with you about the curriculum Fulton County Schools has in the way of teaching digital citizenship to our students. So now that you've met our panelists, allow me to turn it over now to Special Agent Giddens. Actually, let's give them a round of applause for being here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bell, and thank you to the audience for allowing me to be here to present to you guys, and thank you to everyone at home that's viewing the live streaming. It's really great to be doing in-person presentations again. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so internet safety for parents. Like Dr. Bell mentioned, I work a lot of internet crimes that are committed against children. So that's the upload, possession, distribution of child pornography material, or children who are being exploited online for indecent purposes. So I receive what are called cyber tips from the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, where all your online platforms, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, your email accounts, Google, Yahoo, AT&T, they all monitor their platforms for material that is indicative of sexual exploitation of children. So once they identify that type of media on their platform, they generate what's known as a cyber tip that gets sent to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who does some baseline investigations to figure out where the jurisdiction lies. And once they figure out jurisdiction, they send it to the appropriate law enforcement agency. So anytime inappropriate internet activity occurs within the state of Georgia, the cyber tip is forwarded to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, specifically the Child Exploitation Unit. So here we're going to talk about a lot of home safety practices. First and foremost, how to protect your home internet. So all of us, or most of us, will have home internet, whether that's through AT&T, Charter Spectrum, Dish, any sort of internet service provider. You want to make sure that you're password protecting your Wi-Fi. So if your password, or if your internet's not password protected, anyone can drive into your neighborhood or drive in close proximity to your house and access your internet. So if they're doing illegal actions online, such in my field, if they're uploading or downloading child pornography material from your free internet, that activity is going to resolve back to you. Because when I get that report, let's say from Facebook, that someone's uploading child pornography material to the Facebook platform, I will submit a subpoena to the internet service provider. Typically, I'll have an IP address. I'll send a subpoena to that particular internet service provider, who will then provide me with the subscriber of that internet. So even though you're not doing the illegal activity, law enforcement is still going to be drawn to your residence. And if we have enough probable cause to execute a search warrant at your residence, we are going to do so. And that typically involves a very early morning wake-up call, typically around 6:37 a.m., where we're knocking on your door announcing police search warrant. Even though no one in your home did the illegal act online, all the internet activity is going back to you. So you want to try to use a complicated password like I have up here on the screen. You want to use a variety of numbers, letters, uppercase, lowercase, and special characters. Working for the state, I have between 10 and 20 passwords that I have to manage for all of the platforms that I have. As much as I would like to use a really easy password, we're not able to do so because passwords can be easily hacked. So if you get a password manager through your cell phone applications, they can store all of your passwords in one place, which makes it just easier for you to catalog all your passwords. Something I also like to share with families, be vigilant and cognizant of who you're sharing your internet Wi-Fi password with. So of course you're going to share it with immediate family, but if you have your children's friends who come over that you may not know so well, you've got to make a determination as to whether you're going to share your internet password, because again, you have no control over what someone's doing online once they have your internet password. Something to consider is if you do share your Wi-Fi password with family, friends, or friends of a friend, you may want to change your password after they're done using the internet, just to ensure that your internet is secure and private and that no illegal activity is taking place. So if my PowerPoint is predominantly for Apple phones, so if anyone has Android, I don't have any screens for you to see, but it's very similar. But if you look at the screen online where it says choose a network, Mary is the Wi-Fi network name, you can see that it has a little lock on it, and that lock indicates that the internet is password protected. So if you are unsure whether your home internet is password protected, you can just contact your internet service provider or look on the back of the Wi-Fi box. So how can you keep your children safe online? There's a number of ways to do so. One way is not right over another way. One way is not always better. But first and foremost, you can teach your children how to be safe online. You can set parental controls on your child's phone. Periodically examine their cell phone. One big thing that we stress a lot is to take your child's phone away at bedtime. Nothing good happens when they're alone in their room on chat applications or messaging each other. So something to consider is take your child's phone away at night. If they use it as an alarm clock, just go buy a cheap alarm clock for them to use. Educate yourself about popular applications. Some of you may not have heard of Roblox, Discord, Dropbox. You want to educate yourself about the apps that your children are using. And then we will also talk about cell phone monitoring tools that assist you in monitoring what's going on your child's device. So teaching internet safety at home. There's so many resources available online. If you go to NetSmarts, which I've got noted in the middle, netsmarts.org, it has a plethora of educational training resources for parents, students, and teachers alike. And it's also categorized into age groups. So there's particular training for elementary school age children, middle school age children, as well as high school age children. And the topics range from cyberbullying, gaming, online internet activity, online safety, and I've added just some screenshots of some tip sheets that you can see. So one of them is internet safety at home. If you feel you want to learn more about it, NetSmarts is a good resource. Protecting Your Kids Online 2.0. And they also have Parents Guide to Smartphone Safety. So I know we only have a short amount of time to go through all of this, but just know that there are resources available to you online that you can use to educate yourself and your children about online safety. Parental controls. Parental controls prevent children from accessing inappropriate, unsuitable, or illegal content online, and they can be implemented in a variety of ways, whether that's directly through your Windows or Apple operating system, internet service providers, which I believe our AT&T representative will talk about, electronic device settings, so that's going to be your cell phones, tablets, gaming consoles, search engines, and then chat settings. So again, I apologize for our Android users. This PowerPoint is predominantly Apple-based, just because Apple has better graphics. But you can see on this big graphic where you can allow built-in apps and features to be accessed by your children at home. So for this, you can see that the child has access to the Mail, Safari, FaceTime, Camera, etc., those applications. So if you don't want your child to have access to Snapchat or TikTok, you can set that through the parental controls. Also, the Keep Kids Safe Online. You can set your kids' devices to limit adult content to only open websites that you select. And you can see with my red arrow, you can add websites that you want to allow your kids to access, and then you can add websites that you don't want your children to access. And then you can also prevent App Store purchases, which prohibit your child from downloading TikTok, Snapchat to their cell phone. You can also set time limits or screen time limits where you're able to monitor how much time your child is spending on their electronic device. And then just for internet security, you want to make sure that not only all of your devices, but all of your children's devices are up to date to the latest operating system, just for security reasons. So parents, do you know which apps are on your child's cell phone and what each app does? Working the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, we get a lot of cyber tips from your Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, but then we also get cyber tips from applications like Kik, Discord, Bumble, Whisper, and some of these are applications that I've never even heard of. And I'm relatively young, I try to stay educated on what all the middle, high school, and college age kids are using. But I'll be the first one to admit there's applications where I don't even know what they're for. This is a list of 15 apps that all parents should know about. If you just Google this, you can get all the information that you want. What's great about the internet is that there's so many resources available at your fingertip. So we've kind of talked about how you can educate yourself, educate your children about online safety, how to set parental controls, how to educate yourself on what apps are most popular, what apps your kids are downloading. But there's only so much that we can do as parents, right? There's only so much time in a day, and the fight back and forth of parents saying, let me see your phone, let me check, and the child not wanting to because it invades their privacy. So what I also like to educate parents about is an application called Bark. So Bark is a paid-for application which allows parents or guardians to monitor what's going on their child's device without necessarily invading their privacy. So Bark, you would have to download an app on your child's device as well as your own, and it just monitors what's going on your child's device in the background. So as you can see, Bark monitors social media, texts and emails, screen time and web filtering. It offers 24/7 detection, parental alerts, and it saves time and allows you to build trust with your child. As you can see, the previous slide listed the 15 top apps that all parents should know about. A lot of those applications are monitored through Bark. And you can also see that Bark monitors Apple devices, Android devices, Amazon tablets, as well as laptops and computers. Just a few more graphics so you can see what Bark offers and what it looks like. You can see that it sets location alerts, it monitors content, manages screen time, filters websites. That's just a broad overview. However, it also is able to track instances of where violence is being discussed or discussions of violence, mental health issues, bullying, drugs and alcohol, self-harm, suicide, and sexual content. So it doesn't just focus on, is your child looking at inappropriate websites? It encompasses a wide range of topics that you guys as parents would be concerned about. So that's just something to look at on your own time. The GBI as well as Fulton County, we do not endorse any of these products. It's just something for you to be aware of, that there are third-party applications that assist you in monitoring your child's online internet activity. And if for any reason you find yourself in a situation where your child has been exploited online or is talking to a stranger online and they're asking for nude photographs or nude videos, one way to report that is through the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children through their cyber tip line reports. Those are the reports that we receive on a daily basis. You would just go to nicmic.com/cybertipline.org and fill out a report. So that is all for my presentation. Again, I appreciate your time. And now, who do we have next?
Yeah, let's give Special Agent Glicker a round of applause. Just a reminder to everyone, our format is we're going to hear from all the panelists and then we're going to have questions and answers. So I'm sure you'll have questions. At this time, let's welcome Rich to the stage from AT&T. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bell, and thank you, Special Agent Giddens. It's always helpful to hear, some of the work that you're doing and some of the work that parents need to be paying attention to, because we were talking before, I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. They're about to be entering into the digital space, if not already themselves. And some of these things are certainly scary. And I don't think what we're here to do is to scare folks, but it's certainly to make sure that everybody's aware that there are real risks, there are real, challenges that can occur in your life and your family's life. And so being diligent, engaging with your kids, having those conversations really is paramount for any level of success here. Letting your kids know that there's bad things that are out there, helping them protect them, helping them understand how to use these technologies, and you yourself becoming familiar with them really is critical as we move forward and we want to help keep our kids safe. So AT&T offers a variety of different things, and one of the things that Special Giddens was speaking to was around your Wi-Fi password at your house and your router, your modem. If you've got any internet service provider, whether it's AT&T or one of our fellow competitors, we won't hold that against you, but what we will tell you is that most every single one of them has some degree of parental controls that you can put on your router. AT&T, not listed up here, it's called Att Smart Home. This allows you, if you have AT&T, you can look and see which devices are connected to your home network. You can change your password for your home network. You can block certain devices if you don't know what they are. And I'll tell you, I use that myself personally often, is to look and see what devices are connected to your home. If you see something that you don't know what it is, in today's world, we've got 1 million devices connected, you can block it. And if your Amazon Echo doesn't work, well, then you can unblock it and realize that was the wrong one that you pressed. But you at least know that you're paying attention to what's out there and seeing what devices are connected, to your network. And just checking that, not every day, but every so often really helps to ensure that your family is safe and that you're not having devices or other, outside influences, hack into your network. AT&T Screen Ready is an app that AT&T offers. This allows for safe connections across all your screens. So everything from parental controls to using the My AT&T app as well to you can turn off the cellular data and the Wi-Fi data for any devices that are on your plan. So if you can't take it from them at night when they go to bed because it's their alarm clock, you can turn it off so that they can't connect with anyone at all, and it just becomes an alarm clock at that point. These are really great tools that you can help to use and to keep your family safe. And I will say that most of the apps that are available today, if you're not familiar with them, if you're not used to using them, the really great thing is it's difficult if you've been playing with computers for over a certain amount of time. Oh great, what setting did I just change? How do I get that back? I don't remember what I just did. Nowadays they've got it where you can follow along and you can make these subtle changes and see these impacts. And I promise you're not going to break it. And if you do, just give us a call. We'll come out and help you get it reset. But the important thing is that you get used to the settings, the parental controls that are out there, because they exist on almost every single device, whether it's your phone or an Xbox. Pay attention to what parental controls are out there and play around with them. Figure out what's right for you, what's right for your family, your kids. But understand that with every level of access you give them, that's just one more opportunity for folks to engage with them online, to chat with them when you maybe don't want to. You can limit who they speak with to their friends. You can limit how much time they have screen time, and you can really manage and control a lot of what they do on a daily basis. AT&T's cyber aware. This really just helps avoid a lot of data scams. A lot of folks, even outside of just your kids, you get fraudulent phone calls, you get fraudulent text messages. Is this real? Is this not real? These apps help to protect you from your family in terms of financial theft, identity theft, and the like, to make sure that you're paying attention or that you are given alerts when something doesn't seem accurate. And then our AT&T Call Protect and mobile security. I think everyone here has been victim of phone scams or spam. And if nothing else, it is annoying as anything can be. This actually helps to block spam calls, or you'll see on your phone, it'll say spam risk or spam call, potential spam call, so I'll send this to voicemail. I don't have to deal with this telemarketer or whatever it may be. But these are just a few apps that are out there. There really are a ton of opportunities, a ton of applications that can help you control your family's data usage, where they're going online, and who they're talking to online. At AT&T, and I won't spend much time on this, but at AT&T, we do collaborate with a lot of different organizations, the GBI being one of them, but a lot of organizations to help create content and to deliver safe material for families and for kids to learn, all of which is available online through AT&T's website. One of the organizations we work with, the Family Online Safety Institute, these really help to give you a lot more information than what we're giving you here today. So check these websites out, check these resources out, and you can educate yourself on trusted organizations that can provide you more information and more in-depth background. I'd be remiss if I didn't quickly mention, devices are great. They help us stay connected with our friends, with our family, and they've served so many amazing purposes. But they also certainly can help lead to some downfalls with respect to distracted driving. AT&T has been leading the It Can Wait campaign for at least 10 years now. And it used to start, you might remember, Don't Text and Drive. It's really moved now to Don't Drive While Distracted. I think most folks are aware now Georgia is a hands-free state. So while driving in the car, obviously not to pick up your cell phone. I have found that over the years we target this largely at young drivers, and it was actually the young drivers who spent a lot of time telling their parents to stop texting and driving or emailing and driving. So I'm sure you guys have all heard this before, but certainly an important message to remind yourself and your children. Common Sense Media, who you're going to hear from here in just a little bit, AT&T's worked with them for a number of years, really to help give more resources and opportunities for you to learn about this. And as we mentioned earlier, with folks like the GBI, or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, we work with the GBI. When they send a subpoena for some of the crimes and challenges that Special Agent Giddens just referenced, we help give them the information, the IP address, the home address, the things that are critical for them to do their investigation. And I will say one of the other things that we will do too, while most of those actions she referenced require a subpoena, when you have a family member that is at life or risk or feel like serious injury is imminent, law enforcement can contact AT&T, and we can provide location data for their cell phone device if the time or challenge might necessitate such. But no, we cannot give you the device information of location because you don't know where your kid is after curfew. It is, these are for real immediate danger type issues. But the great news is with the many apps, you can often know where your children are and see at least where their phone is at, which is an important thing to do. Find My Friends. My wife and I use that really so that she would stop calling me and asking me when I was going to be home. I could just say, just look on the app. It'll tell you I'll be home in 15 or 20 minutes. But when it comes to your family, that's another important thing. You can see where all your kids are. You can see where your spouse, your husband, your family may be, your loved ones may be, and share that information with them. At AT&T, we're working to help close the digital divide. And so tonight, a lot of this is obviously about safety and keeping your family safe. But it's also about giving you guys some of the resources around what can be done in terms of providing connectivity, accessibility, and affordability for home wireless internet at your household. Obviously, as many of us, all of us experienced through the pandemic, having that access to internet at home is critical. Fulton County obviously did a great job with their digital learning and keeping students and teachers and parents involved in what was going on. But without that access to internet at home, it becomes a real challenge for students. And so we want to work, and we're continuing to work. In fact, we've committed $2 billion to help close this digital divide through things like the AT&T Connected Learning Center, where this provides students opportunities to come to a safe place. We just actually opened one at the Att Promise Center in Atlanta just the other week, where students can come that might not have a home computer and have access to the internet, do their homework, study and the like. And so finding these opportunities, whether it's with Fulton schools or across the state, really is important to helping bridge that digital divide so that families can not miss a beat with respect to their students' learning or education. And of course, a lot of folks we hear a lot of talk, maybe less so in North Fulton, but we do around the state about the access to internet. They might not have the best speeds that they want, or once they do have the right speed, they might not be able to afford it. AT&T is through our AT&T Access and through a new federal program called the American Connectivity Program, ACP, we're able to now offer free home internet for families that qualify. And so this really helps to kind of bring that final gap for families that might not otherwise be able to afford home internet so that their family members can still stay connected. That's all I have for this evening, but I do just want to say I think that the most important thing that the parents can do is to have conversations with your kids, become familiar with their devices, with your devices, and understand what's out there. There's a parental setting for honestly just about everything. Play around with it and become comfortable with it, because it could be, the real difference when push comes to shove. So thank you. I appreciate the time. Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I'll be happy to answer any questions at the time.
Thank you so much for that, Rich. Really great information from one of the largest internet service providers in our area. We appreciate you being here. As I mentioned before, our next panelist is not here. We will be hearing from her on video. Jasmine Hood-Miller is the Director of Community Content and Engagement for Common Sense Media that I believe both of you guys talked about. Common Sense is one of our school district's esteemed partners in digital education. They provide digital citizenship curriculum used by our schools to help students learn to make smart choices online. So let's see. Oh, there we go. All right. Let's hear from Jasmine.
Hey families, my name is Jasmine Hood-Miller and I'm the Director of Community Content and Engagement at Common Sense Media. Thanks so much for inviting us to participate in your event today. We're thrilled to partner with Fulton County Schools, one of our Common Sense recognized school districts. This means that through our partnership with your school district, your children are getting instruction on how to become informed digital citizens. This covers topics like privacy and security, cyberbullying and hate speech, news and media literacy, and much more. Our shared goal is for your children to be able to think critically about the challenges of the digital world and take advantage of all the opportunities it has to offer. Here are 3 tips you can use to help your child navigate their media and tech lives. First, keeping our kids safe and healthy is our #1 priority, and that's especially true online. Having conversations early and often is a great place to start. As a family, you can begin by setting guidelines with the family media agreement. This agreement helps you and your kids get on the same page about expectations and responsibilities and create a plan that reflects your family's values. Being able to use media and technology in balance with other activities is important for our children's physical, mental, and emotional development. Tip number 2, establishing trust and communication with our children is key. But as parents and caregivers, we can always use a little extra help. Parental controls can support you in your efforts to keep your kids' internet experiences safe, fun, and productive. Check out our Parents' Ultimate Guide to Parental Controls to help you decide which tools and features are best for you and your family and find answers to our most frequently asked questions. And tip number 3, kids are spending more time than ever with digital devices and social media, and at earlier ages. As parents, we worry about how their online activities are affecting them. But for our kids, there's no difference between the real world and their online world, where they're developing their identities and building relationships. It's important for us as parents, caregivers, and educators to help kids understand the long-term consequences of their actions, as well as learn how to notice and identify red flag feelings they may have around issues such as managing emotions online, privacy and safety, digital drama, balancing screen time, and much more. Online dilemmas can leave kids feeling sad, anxious, or helpless. Remind them that they can always come to you or another trusted adult if they need help. We know sometimes it can be difficult to bring up these situations. That's why Common Sense provides parents and caregivers with tip sheets and conversation starters to help you have those meaningful discussions at home. It's never too early to start teaching our kids about digital citizenship. Common Sense has a free text message program called Tech Balance. Parents and caregivers can sign up for this service by simply texting the words kids to the number 21555. These texts are completely free as long as you have unlimited texting through your cell phone provider. Each week, you'll receive 2 to 3 messages with quick tips and handy resources that you can use with your family to have a healthier media balance right at your fingertips. For more support on how to help guide your kids' media and technology use, check out our free resources at commonsense.org. You can also find us on social media and feel free to share these resources with your friends, families, and community because we're all in this together. Thanks again for this opportunity and have a great evening.
All right, well, thank you from Jessica from Common Sense Media, but let's have Fulton family come up here. Martha Bongiorno from here at Innovation Academy, one of our Medis, will talk to you about how we dig into that digital citizenship curriculum. Thanks, Martha. Let's welcome her to the stage.
Thank you, Dr. Bell, for having us this evening, and thank you to our other panelists. As a parent myself of a 7-year-old and almost 12-year-old, I appreciate what we're doing this evening to support our families out in the audience as well. But I'm going to speak to you as a media and education technology instructor. Is that better? Okay. And my role here at Innovation Academy is to make sure that we're developing the knowledge and skills necessary to engage actively and meaningfully in social, cultural, economic, civic, and academic life in both the present and the future. We help develop students who can create, collaborate, and communicate effectively. We do that through teaching digital literacy and digital citizenship. And the difference being digital literacy means referring to the skills and knowledge required to engage with one another critically and creatively, while digital citizenship helps us do that discerningly and safely online. And our approach here at Innovation Academy and across the district is to make sure that we're modeling expectations for our students, and we do that throughout the year. Our approach, we make sure that we meld together a mix of direct instruction and embedded learning throughout the school year. And there's no real one way to do that. As we've talked about already, there are many different apps and approaches that we can take to digital citizenship and making sure our students are safe online and in the home. But ultimately, it boils down to how do we model these behaviors and expectations, not just once, but throughout the entire school year. So these are just several, These are just several ways that we do this. We start each school year with direct instruction, not only for our students, but also for our staff. I personally conduct a workshop with our teachers to make sure that we are all on the same page about what digital citizenship is and what that means for our students and why that is crucial for us. We talk about simple things like if you include a picture on a slideshow, did you attribute to the original source? You know, little things like that make all the difference when modeling behaviors. We also work alongside our parents to teach and model these behaviors at home. We have technology competitions, projects that we're working on, and we make sure that we send instructions home to parents about our expectations in terms of how do we cite sources, how do we connect online, through discussion apps, even Discord at times. And then we give students ample opportunities to practice this throughout the year as well. So one of the things that we do here at Innovation Academy, I'm sure you all have heard of Microsoft Teams. It's what we use to communicate effectively with our students online. We have an all students team at Innovation in which every single student is a part of, so that we can model those behaviors and how to discuss things appropriately, and we can do that in a safe environment. So if a student, accidentally says something that they didn't mean, or a student takes that in a different way than what they may have meant in person, we can model how to respond to that and continue to have those open communication lines with them. So we are guided by best practice. So we use the ISTE standards and make sure that we incorporate that. We make sure students recognize that the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of living and learning and working in an interconnected world that we're all used to, that they act and model in ways that are safe, legal, and ethical. And then teachers as well, like how do you do that with your lesson plans? How do you model that for students with their projects? And this has just become a part of our school culture. We utilize this all year long. I mentioned that we have technology competitions, we have school projects. We're known for our projects at Innovation Academy, and we make sure that students are finding sources that are credible, and being able to attribute that to the sources that they're finding. We also have maker spaces here at Innovation in which we make sure that students are, if they find a 3D model on Tinkercad, is it appropriate to just take that offline and call it your own? Or how do you use fair use guidelines to shape that into something that is your own and attribute that to the source? And then we also utilize PBIS in our building and make sure that we're modeling behaviors in that manner as well. But thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity, and I would be more than happy to answer any questions about how this looks at the school building. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, just help me give all of our panelists a big round of applause. Thank you for your time, your information. And I'd also like to recognize Fulton County School staff members who were the hands and feet of this project. Jessica Glicker with Communications, if you'll stand and be recognized. Michelle Easley, Project Manager with Information Technology. And Susan Romanek down here in front, the star of the show. And any other staff members who are here, this is a effort of the heart. We deeply care about our students and their digital citizenship and their internet safety when they're on our network and when they are at home. And you can see that passion is shared throughout the community and business. So we're very fortunate to have this kind of support. So now's the fun part. We'd like to have questions and answers. We can do this relatively simply. Susan has cards. You could put a question on it. Just raise your hand and she'll bring you one. Or you could come down front to a microphone, ask your question. You will not be on camera, but we will hear your question, and any of our panelists can sit where they are and answer your question. This is a rare opportunity for you to be able to ask questions directly to the expert. So we welcome you to the microphone or to get a card. And don't be intimidated. This can be intimidating information. A lot of us in the room are not technology natives. We have come into this world of technology, and our students, sometimes they know more than us. And so as adults, it can be hard to ask questions. But I see that we have a couple. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to read the entire contents of the card and get to the questions. And again, panelists, if you feel like you can answer this question, just chime in. The mic here up front should be able to pick you up. So the card says, we would love a handout that covers ages 9+ or links to content. Specifically for that age group. I can certainly understand that. That's really a coming of age range in terms of technology usage. So we can definitely look at having something specific for that age group. The next point, with YouTube unrestricted on kids' FCS devices, the kids take advantage of it on the bus or before school, etc. And there doesn't seem to be anything parents can do about it. We can't install parental controls or family safety. Our only option to purchase a personal device and return the FCS device. My kids have access to and watch things on their FCS device they aren't able to view on our home devices. This is one for me. So thank you so much for the question and comment. So at the root of this is, how do we protect Fulton County Schools devices that we issue to students? And what exactly can they see on YouTube? So our devices, our network is protected with firewalls and filters that are SIPA, Child Internet Protection Act compliant. So we have categories that restrict access. YouTube, we have modified restrictions on YouTube because our teachers really do use YouTube in some very powerful instructional ways. But occasionally, I have recently heard, and we have assessed this and know it to be true, that some TikTok videos make their way onto YouTube, and so therefore, a student may be seeing things on YouTube that you wouldn't want them to see. So we are aware of these kind of gaps. We are currently in the process of looking at monitoring tools that will further restrict our access. So we are a large district, we are a large network, and so we're doing a comprehensive search of the very best monitoring tools that will help and stop this kind of access. However, and I will say this, if you see something, say something. I had a video with Dr. Looney recently, and I said the same thing. I do need all eyes to tell me if you see something that was inappropriate and it was on our device. You can email me. We have an anonymous tip line. It's an icon on every one of our devices. You click on that tip line and you can say, my child was able to see this and that video on YouTube. And it will come to me and my department, and we will research it. And we will plug that hole. And we will plug the next hole and the next hole until we have some coverage that, we can all be comfortable with. But it is a continuous effort. I need everyone to see something and say something. Another point that I always make is that digital citizenship that we talk about here today is really everyone's responsibility. I have a responsibility to have tools and a network that keeps our students safe, but I do need the eyes of everyone to make sure that I don't have any holes in that. So I can take follow-up questions on that if I didn't answer that completely. So I'm going to move on to the next part. Are cell phone password managers apps truly secure? So password lockers.
Yes and no. There's never one application that is 100% safe. It is a feature that just allows you to maintain your passwords in one cohesive place. I use Password Keeper. They have a free app that you can add on your phone, or I think there's also a paid version. I right now just have the free one to use. So I can't say 100% they are 100% safe and secure, but so far it has worked for me. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. Do your research on what apps, password apps are highly rated secure, and just make your best judgment. So unfortunately, nothing on the internet is 100% safe and secure. Just like Dr. Bell mentioned with students accessing sites on YouTube. I mean, we can't protect all of our information, personal private information, in one place. So it's just use at your best judgment and discretion.
All right, again, we'll take follow-up questions if we didn't fully cover that. But I myself use a password locker, and even when I put my password in, I encrypt the encryption because I don't trust it either. All right, so we got some questions for Martha, and we used a couple of acronyms tonight that we need to make sure we explain. I think PBIS was one of those, so you can explain that. ISTE was another. And the other question was, how do you diffuse digital drama, like Jasmine from Common Sense Media described? How do you diffuse that? So those three things.
I apologize for using acronyms. I live in that world all day long, and it just comes out naturally. But PBIS is our behavior system. It's a matrix. Many of our schools use it, but it just models expectations. It clearly outlines what are our expectations for walking in the hallway, how do we act in the lunchroom, and we include it for our digital creations and interactivity online as well. And then ISTE, I included on here, International Society for Technology Education. It is the go-to organization that governs standards that students, coaches, technology coaches, media specialists, and teachers can use to try to connect globally with each other so that we are providing students robust opportunities to connect with other classrooms around the world, but doing so safely and ethically. And then what was the final question?
The drama.
The drama. Y'all, I wish I could answer that question to the fullest extent that I could. I have an almost 12-year-old daughter and dealing with drama both in person and online, and I see it as a media specialist all the time. And my honest answer is having conversations with these students. A lot of times we can hide behind identities online, and bringing those conversations to an in-person conversation really helps eliminate and alleviate a lot of these issues. We've seen things on Instagram, maybe as a parent you've seen them, where we have Instagram accounts, being made up, like Slouch This, or, different accounts like He had one called Bathroom Feet. These are all conversations when you open that line of communication up with students and be able to explain the hurt that that can cause other people and what type of person you want to be in this world. Are you going to be the type of person that tears another person down or lifts someone up? You know, what type of community are we creating? And those types of conversations, to me, is being proactive, and that helps create that culture where we are supporting one another instead of tearing one another down. Will that eliminate every single drama online? No, but it definitely helps offset some of the things that we get trapped in behind a digital wall when we're able to have those conversations openly. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I see that someone's come to the microphone. Let's hear your question.
Thank you so much for doing this. I scribbled, so it should be easier for me to get up here. Last year, I did an extensive review of the digital library databases in Fulton County, and primarily the EBSCO databases. And for people that don't know, the digital library resources are immense, but many of them tie back into one giant database. And I was able to determine that the filters were not working. The filters are set up by elementary school, middle school, high school, and I was able to easily override those. Now, I know Dr. Looney has mentioned something about the school routers were different than home routers. But if you can speak to the security, that parents can be assured that our children are not able to access age inappropriate information either on school premises and at home with their school devices.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. So let me dig into digital resources in our district. So we have digital resources that our staff vets. So anything that's offered in our Safari Montage, Learning Object Repository, content that's in our learning management systems, content that's offered through our textbook providers, these are vetted with our staff. Galileo is the Georgia Library Learning Online. That is a wonderful resource for research. And through Galileo, students can go and use search engines to look for topics that they may be researching. EBSCO is one of those search engines. Galileo and EBSCO, those platforms are not Fulton County Schools managed. However, if our devices can connect to the internet, they can connect to those resources, and our filters and firewalls, if you're on our device and on our network, should keep students safe from inappropriate content. As I mentioned before, it may miss something. And if you see something, say something, either through the tip line or through emailing me directly. I want to know. But search engines like EBSCO are not managed by Fulton County Schools. Martha is, again, one of our wonderful media specialists and president of the Library Association. Do you want to say anything else about that topic?
Yes, I can speak to that. So one of the things that we've noticed, especially with online databases, is we want to make sure that we have a wide range of access, because students from my child's age up through high school need access to reliable information in order to complete these school projects. Now, I think from our end as educators, we try very hard to teach our students, even if they find things online that are inappropriate, it is about seeing something and saying something. And so managing those types of experiences online, I have never, as a media specialist, found anything that a student has found or replicated those types of situations in the school building. That's not to say it might not happen at home, but we need to arm our children and our students with how do they manage that experience if they are faced with that. And that's what we try very hard to do with open conversations and being able to have different experiences throughout the year, to have that being modeled for them as a teacher, as an educator, but also how do you do that in a safe environment where you can get feedback and things like that. So we try very hard to make sure that our students have experiences that offer them reliable resources and opportunities to practice that in a safe environment. So when they are at home and they are out in the real world, that they know how to monitor those things and be able to tell Fulton County Schools, like, hey, I did find this, it was a little inappropriate, maybe we want to look at this. So.
And a follow-up question related to that was this: is there a way to prevent kids from accessing unhealthy content on internet websites other than sitting right next to them? And as we've mentioned here tonight, you know, there are a number of safety controls that you can put on your router, passwords. And I want to emphasize that our program, Fulton County Schools Home Internet Safety Program, we have this cute little icon. Looks like a little computer, and he's got his finger and he's pointing. His name is TAP. And that's an acronym that points to how parents can restrict time, the time that your child is on the internet at home, the access, how much is your child able to access. You can actually block all sites and just whitelist or open just a few. And then P is password. You can put strong passwords and passwords that really speak to the level of access for your students. So that's what you can do at home. And when they are on our device and on our network with Fulton County Schools, as I mentioned before, we have software on the device and on our network, filters and firewalls that block content according to SIPA requirements by category. We know that our tools are doing a good job because I see the reports of the hundreds of thousands of things that are blocked on a daily basis. Does that mean they're perfect? No. So the message here again is when you're on a Fulton County Schools device and you're on Fulton County Schools network, even if you're at home and you're using our device, you're coming through our network, and something comes up that's inappropriate, say something. Use the tip line that's on the screen. If you're at home, you're on your internet and you're on your own personal device, think about TAP. Utilize TAP to put in the kinds of restrictions that can make your student safer at home. And then Martha's message is prepare them for how they manage when it's not appropriate and what they do in next steps. And we definitely hope it's see something, say something. Okay, so I've got a question for Rich. Where can parents find some of the AT&T resources you described? Is there a website?
Yes, there's a website. It is, now I'll send it out to Brian and staff to share with folks, but it's att.com/learning, I believe. I'll have to double check if that's the exact website, but if you search for AT&T digital learning or digital divide in Google, it will pull up the site there with all these resources. There's videos, there's a whole bunch of different classes you can take that we actually offer in terms of if you don't know how to do a Zoom call, right? There's courses that you can take that show you how to use web conferencing for yourself, but there's also stuff in terms of some of the content we went over today. So I will get the exact website for you guys, but it's if you simply search AT&T digital learning, it will pull right up.
Okay, next question. Would you allow a 12-year-old to use their laptop in their bedroom unsupervised? Well, as a parent, this is very difficult. This is a very difficult subject because we know as our children are coming of age, they are striving for independence. And so it can be a difficult conversation to have. But given the climate and the amount of information that is available to our students, and especially this impressionable age of 12, I would probably lean to no. Again, it really depends on the child, doesn't it? His or her level of maturity and how many conversations you have had around digital citizenship, as Martha talked about. Here's one thing that I like to say. When we're talking about blocking or restricting access to content for students, I've already established it can be nearly impossible to protect them from everything. So what I really like for our students to learn and to know is that they leave a digital footprint. A digital footprint is the trail that you leave. Every email is really not private, is it? It can be retrieved. Every chat, every website visited, you are leaving a footprint. What kind of footprint do you want to leave behind? That's the kind of conversation we need to have with our 12-year-old so that he or she will be able to be independent but make good choices. We need our students, our adults, to make good choices. Guys, I'll tell you personally, I don't even Google something weird or inappropriate because I know that leaves a trail. I don't. If it's something weird or inappropriate, I'm just not going to find out about it unless somebody tells me. I'm not going to leave a digital footprint like that. So I hope I answered that question. I see someone else is coming to the microphone.
Yes, ma'am. Question on the same line, ma'am. Some kids figure out how to do browser private mode and how to create cache cookies. Could you tell us more about how as parents you can still figure out what they're searching in case they're using private browsing method or they're creating cache cookies? And is there something we can do to stop them?
Speaking of digital footprint, he just mentioned the loophole that some of our students figure out. They can hide the trail or the footprint by using specific kinds of browsers. Any of our panelists want to address that? Rich?
I just say for my kids on their computer, because once they're there, it is hard to kind of go back and track. If you have like a Chromebook, for example, and you set up the right parental controls, you can block them from opening up a private web browser altogether. You got to go in there and change that setting. But that's one of those things that is tough, and so you've heard it a couple of times. So you got to stay diligent. But we have a rule in our house. It's with respect to YouTube, and we put the settings down. Get them down to the age appropriate. But if I walk into the room, my son is watching YouTube, and he immediately changes the channel. Boom, YouTube is gone for a week, right? There's no questions about it because he should feel comfortable watching whatever he is watching with me standing right behind him. And if he's not, he knows he's not, right? He'll change it quickly. Then he's done with it. And so you kind of have to set up some of those non-technology, base rules or parameters in your house. But you can set that on certain Chromebooks to not allow for some of the private browsers to open up. So it is tough. I understand.
That's great. So can you tell us specifically, technically, like my daughter has for a MacBook. How do you? I am the administrator. She's not. How can I block her from using, since she's 12, how can I block her that she can only use 12 and below years of content on YouTube? Or how do you block her more in the browser?
So I can't speak to Fulton County, but for at least for your personal use, if you set up a profile for yourself or for your child, you can set the settings where you can click which, it's, what the rating is, the age appropriateness, and kind of dial it down. It's not going to stop everything. And so, sometimes you trend on maybe too much. And then if all they're seeing is videos for, Teletubbies thing and they're 12 years old, all right, maybe you turn it up a little bit kind of thing. But you have to go in there. So that was one of the things that we found on a lot of TVs. You cannot get rid of the YouTube app off the TV, which I attempted to do a number of times. And it's just how they've made them. But if you set up a profile then you can set the degree of which, what content they can see in terms of that. So it does require you to go and set up an account and do that. It takes a little bit of work, and sometimes it can be confusing. But that's what in our house. That's what we've done. So on every TV, it's if I want to watch YouTube, I'm watching. Best I get is some Y7 rated thing. But I don't watch YouTube like they do all the time. So.
And I'll speak to Fulton County Schools. As I mentioned earlier, our current YouTube restrictions are set to modified. And then, of course, we have our filters and firewalls backing that up with inappropriate content. And it's kind of a guessing game. There's not really a right setting there. We make it too strict, and then our teachers can't use some valuable content they want. We make it a little more modified, and then some of those TikTok videos I mentioned earlier slide into YouTube. We are going to get additional tools on our network that will help protect YouTube specifically even further. That is my commitment to Fulton County families as we go into this next school year. I know I wish I could, snap my finger and make it happen today because we need it today. But as I mentioned, it's a process, and I'm committed to making that happen. We know that we need to address that. So, all right, yes, please.
So guys, we just need to be realistic about internet usage. If our kids are wanting to if they want to learn more about sex or they want to learn more about drug and alcohol use, they're going to find a way to access that information. Back in the day where we would sneak into R-rated movies or we would look at adult-rated magazines. I mean, the material is out there. There's no one way for us to safeguard the internet access that our children have. So we have to be realistic that there's no one firewall or one way to prevent our kids from viewing inappropriate material. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, that what's been reiterated on the stage is have the conversations with your kids about what is appropriate for their age. Talk to them about sex education, talk to them about the dangers of drug and alcohol, and have that open dialogue between yourself and your kids, and make them feel comfortable coming to you if they view something online that's inappropriate. Also, I don't know how old everyone's children are in this room, but does anyone have a child that was able to purchase their cell phone, tablet, iPad with their own money? I highly doubt that. Oh, okay, all right, we have a few. But for those who, if parents are the ones that are buying these electronic devices for their kids, the parents need to have access to those devices. So parents need to know what the child's passcode is, what the pattern lock is. That is your device that you're allowing your child to use. Be familiar with what is on their device. Be familiar with their apps that they have saved. Look at their browser history. Look at their text message history. Look at the content of their text messages, their phone calls. Be involved in what they are doing with their technology. Kids may think that it's an invasion of privacy. However, you guys know what the dangers are online. For those who may not know how to set parental controls, for those who are Apple iPhone users, If you just go to Google and type in iPhone parental controls, that's where I got a bunch of my graphics. And there are step-by-step ways telling you how to block or limit website access. So if you don't want your children accessing Discord, Dropbox, Roblox, Kik, you can set that parental control on the child's phone. And typically you will create a password that only you and your spouse or parental guardian know. And so the child can't make corrections or modifications to your parental controls that you are setting. For Android or Microsoft users, if you do the same thing, if you just Google Microsoft parental controls, Microsoft actually has a video that I wasn't able to extract onto my PowerPoint that shows you step by step how to set those parental controls. So it's a group effort of being educated yourself as to what your children are doing on the internet, having that open dialogue with your child, and just being aware and educated. Again, there are multiple third-party paid-for services that will monitor your child's internet activity themselves. Do your own research, and if that's something that you choose to do, that's a way that you can help kind of monitor what's going on your child's phone. But the biggest thing is just be aware that there's no one way to limit or restrict what your child's accessing online. If they want to find it, they will, but hopefully with conversations with parents, teachers, and counselors, they will have a better understanding and hopefully come to you if they see something that's inappropriate. So thank you.
So I just wanted to speak for just a minute, like as a parent and as an educator. One of the things that I try to do is I sit these students down and my own children down and I say, I love you and my job is to protect you. And that's providing opportunities for you to learn and grow and for me to keep you safe. So it's a combination of all of these security features that we're talking about right now, but also having those conversations. And one thing I think I'd be remiss if I didn't include it is the consumption culture that our students are in, where they're just watching TikTok all the time or YouTube videos. And we just need to change the narrative because technology can be so good for these students and be able to help us connect on another level and really help us solve problems that are in our community. So they won't be able to do that unless we teach them and give them the tools to do that. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not scaring our children or scaring you all away from utilizing technology, that it's a combination of both the security features and having these conversations and offering opportunities to create as well as consume. So thank you.
Thank you for that. We have about 10 minutes left, and we certainly want to end on time, but I have 2 comment cards I want to make sure I read. This one says, we spent a lot of time discussing inappropriate content at this presentation. That's important, but equally, if not more important, is educating our kids on other dangers of the internet, such as what even using inappropriate sites on Instagram can do to an adolescent's mental health. Also, the terrible dangers of getting your news from untrustworthy sources and how best to avoid that. Thank you for this comment. It really speaks to the fact that we have just really hit the surface of all of the potential topics around home internet device safety, screen time usage, all of those things around technology. I really love what Martha had to say. It is a balance, and this program we hope will grow. We're going, as I mentioned, to have we'll have videos that will follow this, and we'll have other sessions, and maybe we can dig in to some of those mental health issues as discussed on this card. One other comment. I'm a teacher at a charter school and a common sense educator, and I'm happy to see this initiative taking place. Thank you. Please continue. I try to model behavior for my students and children. We discuss behaviors online, and it helps. So thank you for that comment. That's exactly why we're here. Thank you so much for that. So I do want to remind everybody as we close out tonight that all of the presentations tonight, including what Rich's content for AT&T, will be captured on our home internet device safety website. Remember, we have one of those flyers outside. The video for tonight will also be posted there. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your interactions tonight, your questions, and your feedback as we have started this. As we have started this important program, we needed to hear from you. What are the issues so that we can inform our next steps? So again, thank you to the panelists. Thank you for all of you for being here. Have a good evening.